what the characters say, obviously, and or maybe not, but those are the lines. And so, I've been hired from studios. They'll send a script, through an agent, whatever, and it doesn't just come to me. Occasionally it does, but usually they will maybe try to get 2 or 3 different people to pitch ideas. And they'll say, we just don't like, we love the structure, we like the storyline, we like the twist in the end, we like basically the scene structure, we like all this, the general characters and the conflict, but we just feel like the dialogue is too on the nose, which means like, how you read scripts sometimes and the dialogue goes around the subject. They just don't like the dialogue. They don't like the interaction of the characters, but they like the general, gist of the script. So they just want the character's dialogue to be rewritten in a way that might be more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I want to add to that one simple thing, which also came up in film school when I was in film school. The one thing, all the books you could buy, so much of them are garbage, by the way, but all the books you can buy on Screenwriting 101, the one area that cannot be taught is dialogue. You can be taught the rest of it in film school. Now, that doesn't mean you're being good at it, right? But you can be taught how to do structure, how to do story, how to format your script. You cannot be taught dialogue, which is why people are fascinated with someone like Quentin Tarantino, right? For me, Quentin's work is very uneven at times, primarily because he doesn't know the first goddamn thing about structure.
Terrible.
Right? Terrible structure, which is why his films are all over the map often. But as a former actor, y'all know that history, right? As a wannabe actor, his determination, his passion was to, as he said himself in interviews, was to write sides that were tolerable. Sides are what actors are given to before an audition, before they get up. The sides are a few pages from the script. They call them sides. He wanted to write better sides because he was so sick of the trash he was having to read. And so that's what you get. It's a lot of great scenes with great dialogue in them, because that was Quentin's burning passion, to correct that. And that's why he's still fascinating in the town to everybody in the business, because he can write stunning dialogue. Yeah. And really, the vast majority of writers cannot. Even Oscar-winning writers cannot. For me, dialogue always was about, so when I'm brought in to fix dialogue, the first thing I recognize, the reason there's a problem here with your dialogue is structure.
Sometimes, yeah.
Structurally, it's set up so weak that you can't generate a conflict dialogue that would be worthwhile in the story.
So when I'm obvious, the structure. There's no uniqueness to it at all. It's just
any of that.
Clue, suspect. It is very simple. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen Tarantino movies, and they'll be like sometimes 10-minute scenes with just talking. I mean, he writes theatrical dialogue, the kind you see on stage.
Right. It's wonderful. And I'm the first one to say I think it's fantastic dialogue, and that's why he holds such fascination in the town, because
it's unique.
It's unique. There are literally probably a handful of people who can write dialogue like that, because it is the one thing that can't be taught. And it's usually the most, and you've suggested it by your talk earlier, it's usually the most common fix for a film that's trying to go forward, right? Where they think they've got everything else ready to go. They got the actors in place, they got a start date, everything about it is ready to go, and then they're still bringing in writers. The actors are bringing in writers.
Because the actors want better dialogue.
Right. The actors are bringing in their own personal writers, the director's bringing in writers. I mean, there could be 2 or 3 writers on a given, during production, to try to fix the dialogue. Because that's the one thing that is very hard to create. Very few people can do it well, and everybody's trying to just come up with stuff.
But at that level, when you've actually gotten something into production, one of the things also if you're ever lucky enough and determined enough to get something made, is that you almost for sure have written too many lines. I mean, there's just Tarantino notwithstanding. Usually, lines get cut in production, because actors can infer what's going on, the audience gets it, and even though I've been doing this for a lot of years now and know that, I mean, I overwrite dialogue in a spec. Some of that's just kind of part of it. You want to go ahead and put it out there, but inevitably you're going to cut stuff. And I just recently directed a movie that we're posting, and as a director, it was interesting to. I did a pretty extensive rewrite. It was a script that we found. But even stuff dialogue that I wrote, that I thought was necessary, we got on set, and I was dealing with the actor, and suddenly I realized, I get it. Like, just this look he put on, I don't need this line. The audience is going to understand. It doesn't mean you don't need to write it. But I think it's also, dialogue is tough, but scripts can definitely sail without great dialogue because of what we just discussed, which is once they get into production. A lot of times, studios are looking more for the hook, something to develop. They almost always realize a script is not fully realized. It's going to be developed.